Kate Reynolds walked into the wrong private room with rain in her hair, coffee on her sleeve, and the kind of anger that made powerful men forget how to speak. She had meant to find a lawyer. One neat, frightened, expensive little lawyer who worked for Dmitry Vulov and knew where old medical files went when criminals buried them under shell companies and polite paperwork. That was the plan. Simple, brave, mostly stupid, but simple. Instead, Kate pushed open the carved double doors of a private dining room on the top floor of the Alder Hotel and interrupted Vincent Moretti, the most feared mafia boss on the West Coast, halfway through a business dinner that looked one wrong sentence away from becoming a crime scene. The room went silent so quickly that even the ice in the water glasses seemed to stop melting. 12 men sat around a long table covered in white linen, untouched lamb, black folders, and enough tension to make the expensive chandelier above them feel nervous. 2 guards stood near the windows. Another stood by the door Kate had just thrown open with her whole tired body. At the head of the table sat a man in a dark suit who did not look surprised. That was the first thing Kate noticed about him. Not the sharp cheekbones, not the silver-threaded black hair, not the shoulders that looked like they had been built by bad decisions and old violence, not even the fact that every man in the room seemed to be holding his breath because he had not told them what to do yet. No. The first thing Kate noticed was that Vincent Moretti looked at her like she was interesting. That annoyed her immediately. She lifted one hand, still gripping a damp folder from the hospital, and pointed it at him. I need 5 minutes, and before you say no, understand that I am operating on 3 hours of sleep, 1 cold bagel, and the full wrath of a fat woman who has not eaten since breakfast. A man near the middle of the table slowly lowered his fork. Someone else made a sound like he had swallowed wrong. Vincent Moretti leaned back in his chair. His eyes moved over her rain-soaked flats, her wrinkled navy dress, the broken clasp on her cheap purse, and the wild look in her face. His expression did not change, but something faint moved at the corner of his mouth. Not quite a smile, more like the memory of one. "Are you lost?" he asked. His voice was calm, low, almost gentle, which somehow made the room feel colder. Kate stepped farther inside. "Do not use that tone with me. I know men like you. You think because you have a nice suit and a private dining room and cheekbones that look funded by organized crime, you can make normal people disappear into paperwork. Well, congratulations. You found the one woman in Seattle who does paperwork for a living and has nothing left to lose." The man beside Vincent turned his head very slowly toward him, as if waiting for permission to breathe. Vincent did not give it. He kept looking at Kate. "You think I am a lawyer," he said. "I think you are Dmitry Vulov's lawyer." A pause passed through the room, not silence. Silence was empty. This was not empty. This had weight. This had teeth. Vincent placed 2 fingers against the rim of his glass, but did not drink. That is insulting in several directions. Kate blinked once. Her anger stumbled, but only for a second. "Are you not?" "No. Are you sure?" One of the guards near the window closed his eyes like he was praying for patience on someone else's behalf. Vincent's mouth finally curved. Barely. Very. Kate looked around the room for the first time with something other than panic. She saw the men watching her with faces too still to be ordinary businessmen. She saw the black folders, the careful distance between chairs, the guard by the door whose hand rested near his jacket. She saw the way no one looked annoyed on their own behalf. They only looked worried about how Vincent would react. A cold little thought walked up her spine and tapped the back of her neck. "Oh," she said. Vincent waited. Kate swallowed. "You're not the lawyer." "No, you're worse. That depends on the lawyer." The room stayed frozen. Kate should have apologized. She should have backed out slowly. She should have said she had made a mistake, found the elevator, gone home, and cried in her parked car where decent people broke down without witnesses. But Noah was in a hospital bed with monitors on his chest and a brave smile on his too pale face. Noah had asked her that morning if he was expensive, because children heard things adults tried to hide. Noah had 10 years of life behind him and a future being held hostage by medical records no one could find. Kate had already been dismissed by one records clerk, 2 administrators, and a doctor who kept saying complicated when he meant impossible. So she stayed. She lifted her chin and looked back at Vincent Moretti, because fear was useful only if it kept you sharp, and Kate had been sharp long before anyone took her seriously. "Fine," she said. "Wrong criminal." A breath moved across the table. It might have been shock. It might have been the ghost of laughter. Hard to tell in a room where every man looked like he had once signed a non-disclosure agreement with a shovel. Vincent looked almost pleased. "That is usually the moment people apologize. I am saving my apology budget for things that help my nephew." His face changed then. Not much. Just enough. The faint amusement faded, leaving something colder and more alert beneath it. "Your nephew." Kate clutched the damp folder tighter. Her fingers were numb from the rain. Her body ached from the hospital chair she had slept in badly the night before. Her stomach twisted with hunger, fear, and the kind of hope that hurt because it had nowhere safe to go. "His name is Noah," she said. "He is 10. He is sick. The doctors need old family medical records connected to my sister, who disappeared years ago after getting involved with Dmitry Vulov's people. I need those records. I was told one of Dmitry's lawyers was staying in this hotel. I came here to ask nicely, then threaten legally, then probably cry in the lobby if neither worked." Vincent's gaze flicked to the folder. "And you believed storming into a private meeting was the asking nicely portion. I am under a lot of stress. I noticed. Do not sound amused. I can still sue someone. I have forms." That time, the man sitting 2 seats down from Vincent coughed into his napkin. Vincent did not look away from Kate. "What records?" "Old employment medical intake documents, insurance records, emergency contacts, maybe genetic history. My sister worked through one of Dmitry's shell businesses in Portland before she vanished. The hospital thinks Noah's condition may connect to something from my family history, something my sister knew and never told me. The paper trail leads to a company that doesn't exist anymore, which means it absolutely still exists but under a name with too many vowels and a tax attorney." Vincent's eyes sharpened. Kate saw it. She had spent 11 years in family law watching people lie across conference tables. She knew the moment when an idle listener became interested. She knew when information landed somewhere it could grow teeth. "You know the company," she said. "I know Dmitry." The way he said the name changed the air. Kate had heard hatred before. She had heard it from mothers who had lost custody battles, from fathers holding bank statements with shaking hands, from children too young to understand why adults fought over them like property. But Vincent's hatred was quieter than that. It did not flare. It waited. She took another step forward. The guard near the door shifted. Vincent raised one hand without looking at him, and the guard stopped. "Then help me," Kate said. A man at the far end of the table gave a short, humorless laugh. "You walked into Mr. Moretti's private dinner and demanded help." Kate looked at him. "I did not demand. I emotionally arrived." Vincent's eyes moved to the man, and the laugh died immediately. Kate should have felt satisfied. Instead, she felt the first true whisper of danger. Not because Vincent had yelled, he had not. Not because he had threatened anyone. He had not needed to. That was worse. A room full of hard men had gone quiet under one glance, and Kate was standing 5 feet from him, with wet shoes, and no plan beyond desperation, dressed up as attitude. Vincent stood. The room seemed to lower itself around him. He was taller than she expected, not giant, not theatrical, but solid in a way that made space feel reconsidered. He buttoned his suit jacket slowly, then walked around the table. Nobody moved. Kate forced herself not to step back. She had spent her whole life watching people's faces change when they saw her body before they saw her. Too big, too loud, too soft-looking, too easy to underestimate. Men like Vincent Moretti were usually the worst about it. They saw size and decided what kind of woman she was before she opened her mouth. But Vincent did not look at her that way. He looked as if he was reading a locked document and enjoying the challenge. He stopped a careful distance away, close enough that she could see the faint scar near his left eyebrow, far enough that she did not feel crowded. "Kate Reynolds," he said. Her pulse jumped. "I did not tell you my name. No, but your visitor badge is turned backward, and your hospital folder has a tab with your last name." Kate looked down. The folder tab read, "Reynolds" in black marker. "Oh," she said. "Well, that was less impressive than I feared." Again, that almost smile. "You came from the hospital." "Yes. Today. Yes. Your nephew is there now." Kate's humor thinned. "Yes. What hospital?" "No." Vincent tilted his head slightly. "No? You heard me. I am desperate, not stupid. I don't give hospital information to strange criminals in private rooms just because they have nice tailoring and a murder stare." Behind him, one of the men whispered, "Murder stare?" Vincent did not react. "You came looking for Dimitri's lawyer. I came looking for records, and found me, through no fault of my own. The door was marked private. I assumed criminals lied on doors." The almost smile returned, but this time it was smaller, warmer maybe. Or maybe Kate was very tired and starting to hallucinate kindness in a man who probably knew 12 ways to dispose of a body before dessert. Vincent turned slightly toward the table. Dinner is over. No one argued. Chairs moved back at once. Men gathered folders, avoided Kate's eyes, and filed toward the door like school children released by a teacher they feared. The man who had coughed into his napkin gave Kate one quick look as he passed. Not hostile, curious, maybe impressed. The guards remained. So did Vincent. Kate watched the room empty and realized too late that she had not improved her situation. She had simply reduced the number of witnesses. "That was not necessary," she said. "It was, I do not want to be alone with you." "You are not alone." Vincent glanced toward one of the guards. "Marcus is here." Marcus Chen stood near the wall, tall, broad, and unimpressed by almost everything. He had the face of a man who had never lost a fight, missed a detail, or laughed at a joke by accident. Kate looked at him. Wonderful. The emotional support wall. Marcus blinked. Vincent looked at the ceiling for half a second. That time, he was definitely trying not to smile. Kate exhaled hard and rubbed one hand over her face. The adrenaline was fading now, which was unfair because she still needed it. Without it, exhaustion crept in through every crack. Her feet hurt. Her dress clung damply to her knees. Her hair was probably expanding from the rain in ways no civilized mirror should witness. She had not eaten since a vending machine granola bar that tasted like cardboard had given up on itself halfway through. And Noah was still sick. The thought pulled everything else out from under her. Vincent noticed. Of course he did. Dangerous men noticed weakness like weather. He moved toward a sideboard, poured water into a glass, and held it out to her. Kate eyed it. "Is it poisoned?" "No." "That is exactly what someone would say if it were poisoned. If I wanted to hurt you, Miss Reynolds, I would not waste good water." She stared at him. He stared back. Against every intelligent instinct she possessed, Kate took the glass and drank half of it. Her hand shook only a little. Vincent saw that too, but he was polite enough not to mention it, which made her trust him slightly more, and much less at the same time. "What do you want from Dimitri's business?" he asked. "I told you. You told me the emotional version. Now tell me the useful version." Kate hated that she understood the distinction. She opened the folder and spread the damp pages across the end of the table. Hospital requests. Old addresses, her sister's name, possible employer names, dates, red circles. sticky notes with angry handwriting, a life trying to save a child, reduced to paper under bad lighting. My sister, Leah Reynolds, worked in Portland under a fake administrative contract almost 7 years ago. The company was called Northline Civic Services, but it dissolved after 2 lawsuits and reappeared as a charity consulting group. Then, that group merged into something called Holloway Outreach. Holloway appears in custody-related non-profit filings. Dimitri's name is nowhere, obviously, because men like him prefer paperwork to wear gloves. But the same registered agent shows up in 3 places. The same storage vendor shows up twice. The same notary signed documents in Portland, Seattle, and Spokane within a week, which is either a miracle of transportation or fraud. Marcus stepped closer despite himself. Vincent looked down at the papers. You found this alone? I work in family law. Half my job is finding the thing people thought they hid because they renamed it. And Dimitri's lawyer? Rumor from a clerk who owed me a favor. Someone connected to his shell companies checked into the Alder Hotel today. Room block under a corporate name. I came to confront him before my courage realized it had better options. Vincent picked up 1 page. This registered agent is dead. Kate nodded. For 2 years. Still signing documents, apparently. Very committed worker. Marcus muttered. That tracks with Vulov. Kate looked up fast. So you do know it. Vincent's expression remained controlled, but his eyes had become hard enough to cut glass. Dmitry Vulov has been pushing into Seattle for months, quietly, through charities, shipping businesses, custody firms, private security contracts. Men like him do not enter a city with guns first. They enter with paperwork. Guns come later. Kate felt a slow chill move through her. Custody firms? Vincent looked at her. For the first time since she had entered the room, he did not answer quickly. Kate's voice dropped. Say it. Marcus glanced at Vincent, then away. Vincent set the paper down. Dmitri uses vulnerable families. Custody disputes. Guardianships. Medical dependencies. People with something to lose and no money to fight. He builds pressure where the law already hurts. Kate gripped the edge of the table. For a second, she was not in the Alder Hotel anymore. She was in a hospital hallway that smelled like disinfectant and old coffee. She was watching Noah sleep with a dinosaur blanket tucked under his chin, because he insisted he was too old for it, but never let anyone remove it. She was hearing the doctor explain that records mattered, that treatment choices depended on family history, that they needed time Kate did not have. She was remembering Leah at 23, laughing too loudly in Kate's kitchen, promising she had everything under control. Leah had always said that right before something broke. Kate looked at Vincent. Can you get the records? Yes. The word was so simple that it scared her. She had expected maybe. She had expected it's complicated. She had expected the soft, professional sadness of people who knew how to sound kind while giving nothing. She had not expected yes. Her throat tightened before she could stop it. Do not say that unless you mean it. I mean it. What will it cost? Vincent watched her for a moment. Help. Kate barked out a tired laugh. That is not a price. That is a trap with better manners. It can be both. At least you're honest. Not usually. She should have walked out. That would have been the sensible thing. But Sensible had not found Noah's records. Sensible had not brought Leah home. Sensible had not stopped hospital forms from circling back with missing information stamped in polite blue letters. Sensible was what people recommended when they had no skin in the fire. Kate looked at the papers, then at Vincent. What kind of help? You understand legal paper trails. You see patterns my people may miss because they look for threats, not signatures. Dmitri has hidden behind clean hands. I need someone who knows where clean hands leave fingerprints. And in exchange, you find Noah's records. Yes, no hurting Noah. No using him. No putting him in one of your scary little mafia chess games. Vincent's jaw tightened slightly. Children are not pieces. Kate studied him. There it was again. That code. a line in a man who probably crossed many others without losing sleep. "And me?" she asked. "What about you? Am I a piece? No. Am I bait?" His silence lasted one breath too long. Kate's laugh came out sharp and humorless. "There it is." "You are already bait," Vincent said softly. "You became bait the moment you asked questions about Dimitri. The difference is whether you stand in the open alone or behind people who know when danger has entered the room." Kate hated that. She hated it because it sounded like control wearing a better suit. She hated it because it also sounded true. "I don't like men deciding where I stand." "Then decide." The answer caught her off guard. Vincent slid one of the papers back toward her. He did not touch her hand. He did not lean in. He did not use his height, his voice, or the quiet loyalty of the men around him as pressure. He simply waited. Kate looked at the folder, at Leah's name, at Noah's hospital form, at the rain sliding down the tall windows beyond Vincent's shoulder. "How do I know you won't become worse than him?" she asked. "You don't." Honest again. Rude of him. She gave a bitter little smile. "You really need to work on your comforting skills." "I am not comforting you, clearly. I am telling you the truth because you look like a woman who has been lied to by softer voices." That landed somewhere she had not given him permission to reach. Kate looked away first. The city shone below the hotel windows, wet and silver under the rain. Seattle looked almost gentle from this high up, as if the streets were not full of people trying not to fall apart in public, as if hospitals were not filled with children waiting for adults to solve impossible things. As if one woman with a damp folder and bad shoes could not accidentally walk into the life of a dangerous man and change the course of several wars. Kate finished the water and set the glass down. "Fine," she said. "One deal. Records for Noah. Paper trail for you. No lies about my nephew. No touching my life without asking. No deciding I'm safer if I'm quiet." Marcus made a faint sound at the last part. Kate pointed at him. "You have thoughts? Emotional support wall?" Marcus looked at Vincent. "I have concerns." "I also have concerns," Kate said. "Mine are wearing wet flats." Vincent's eyes dropped briefly to her shoes. Something unreadable crossed his face. She narrowed her eyes. "Do not buy me shoes." I said nothing. "You looked rich in my direction." Marcus looked down. Vincent's expression did not change, but his voice warmed by half a degree. "You are very difficult." Kate lifted her chin. "I am very tired." There's overlap. For one quiet second, something shifted between them. Not trust. Not yet. Not even close. But recognition, maybe. The strange, dangerous recognition of two people who had both survived by becoming harder to move than others expected. Vincent turned to Marcus. "Find everything connected to Northline Civic Services, Holloway Outreach, and Leah Reynolds. Quietly. I want the lawyer Kate was looking for, identified before midnight." Kate frowned. "Kate." Vincent looked back at her. "Would you prefer Miss Reynolds?" "I would prefer you remember I am not one of your employees." "You are not. Or your problem." His gaze held hers. "That remains to be seen." Her heart did something stupid. She blamed hunger. Marcus stepped away to make a call. Vincent gathered the damp papers with surprising care and placed them back in order. Kate noticed his hands, broad, scarred at the knuckles, gentle with paper that mattered because it mattered to her. She did not like noticing that. "You should eat," he said. "I should go back to the hospital." "You will, after you eat." "There it is, the ordering." "The restaurant downstairs has soup." "I don't want crime soup. It is tomato basil." "That is what crime soup would be called." The almost smile appeared again. This time, he did not hide it quickly enough. Kate looked at him, and for one soft, dangerous second, she forgot he was a man people feared. She saw only a tired man in a beautiful suit, standing in a room full of cold food, looking at her like her mouth had walked into his life and rearranged the furniture. Then Marcus returned, face serious. Vincent turned to him. What? Marcus looked at Kate first, and every bit of humor left the room. The lawyer she was looking for checked out 20 minutes ago, he said, but he left something at the front desk for Kate Reynolds. Kate's skin went cold. Vincent's voice lowered. What? Marcus held up a small white envelope sealed in plastic. Kate stared at her own name written across the front in neat black ink. For a moment, all she could hear was the rain against the glass. Vincent took the envelope from Marcus but did not open it. He looked at Kate, waiting, asking without asking. Her fingers felt numb again when she reached for it. Inside was a single photograph. Noah asleep in his hospital bed. Taken less than an hour ago. On the back, someone had written, "Stop asking about your sister." Kate could not breathe. Vincent's face went completely still. Not angry, not loud. Something worse. Something that made Marcus straighten and the guard by the door move his hand inside his jacket. Kate stared at the photograph until Noah's small, sleeping face blurred. Then Vincent Moretti spoke, calm as a blade being drawn from silk. "Now," he said, "you are under my protection." Kate looked up at him through the first heat of tears she refused to let fall. "No," she whispered. "Now we are going to find out who walked into my nephew's room." And for the first time that night, Vincent Moretti looked at Kate Reynolds, not like a woman who needed saving, and not like a problem that had fallen through the wrong door, but like a storm he had been foolish enough to welcome inside. The man who had photographed Noah had been close enough to see the dinosaur blanket tucked beneath his chin, and Kate could not stop thinking about that. Not the threat on the back of the picture, not the lawyer who had vanished from the Alder Hotel like smoke under a locked door. Not even Vincent Moretti standing beside her with murder made quiet in his eyes. Only Noah. Noah asleep under cheap hospital lighting. Noah small beneath wires and blankets. Noah breathing while someone dangerous stood close enough to decide whether he kept doing it. Kate did not remember leaving the private dining room. One moment she was gripping the photograph so tightly the edge bit into her palm. The next, she was in the back of a black SUV cutting through wet Seattle streets, her knees pressed together, her folder on her lap, Vincent beside her, Marcus in the front passenger seat, speaking softly into a phone. The city blurred past the tinted windows in silver lines of rain and red traffic lights. Kate stared at her reflection in the glass and barely recognized herself. Her hair had frizzed around her face. Her mascara had smudged beneath one eye. Her navy dress was still wrinkled, damp at the hem, and clinging unkindly to her thighs. She looked like a woman who had lost a fight with weather, fear, and common sense in the same evening. Vincent did not tell her to calm down. That was the first smart thing he did. He did not say Noah would be fine. He did not promise the world before checking whether it was still standing. He sat beside her, silent and still, while Marcus quietly gave orders to men with names Kate did not know. Hospital entrances, parking cameras, elevators, staff badges, visitor logs. Words floated through the car like pieces of a language she understood only enough to fear. Kate's thumb rubbed over the corner of the photograph. He looked asleep. Vincent turned his head slightly. Yes, not scared. No. That means whoever took it didn't wake him. Likely. She looked at him then. That is not comforting. I know. Are you always this emotionally generous? His eyes stayed on hers. I do not lie well when children are involved. Kate had a sharp answer ready, because sharp answers were easier than shaking apart, but it got stuck somewhere behind her ribs. She looked back at the window instead. The SUV turned hard near the hospital entrance. 2 more black vehicles pulled in behind them. Kate noticed them only when their headlights swept across the glass doors. Her stomach dropped. Absolutely not, she said. Vincent's hand paused near the door handle. What? You are not storming into a children's hospital with a convoy like a funeral for someone's parole officer. Marcus glanced back. That is specific. I work near divorce court. I know energy. Vincent looked toward the entrance. Someone entered your nephew's room, and if you walk in with half the cast of a crime documentary, every nurse in that building will panic. Security will lock down the wrong things, and Noah will wake up thinking something terrible happened. He is 10. He reads faces. So whatever terrifying little Prince of Darkness routine you had planned, fold it up and put it in your expensive pocket. Marcus looked straight ahead, but Kate saw his shoulders move once. Vincent studied her for one long second. Rain tapped against the roof. His face was unreadable, but his voice was calm when he spoke. Marcus and I go in with you. Everyone else remains outside. Kate inhaled. No visible weapons. Marcus slowly turned his head. Kate pointed at him. Do not look at me like that. This is a pediatric cardiac floor, not a villain warehouse. Vincent said, no visible weapons. Marcus sighed like a man asked to attend a picnic in a thunderstorm. Kate opened the door before either of them could do it for her. Cold rain hit her face, and she welcomed it, because panic had made her skin too hot. She crossed the hospital drop-off lane fast, sensible flats slapping against wet pavement. Vincent moved beside her, not touching, not guiding, just there. Marcus followed a few steps behind, somehow looking less like a wall and more like a wall that had agreed to wear a visitor badge. The hospital lobby was too bright. That was what always bothered Kate at night. The brightness felt dishonest, as if fluorescent lights could bleach fear into something manageable. A security guard looked up from his desk, then looked again at Vincent, and his expression changed in the way faces changed when money or danger entered a room. Kate stepped in front of Vincent before the guard could decide which one he was. Kate Reynolds, she said, already pulling out her ID. Guardian for Noah Reynolds, pediatric cardiac, room 412. These are family friends. Marcus made a sound behind her. Kate did not turn around. Very intense family friends. The guard hesitated. His eyes moved to Vincent. Vincent said nothing. Somehow that helped and did not help at all. Ma'am, visiting hours are... My nephew was photographed in his room less than an hour ago by someone who did not have permission to be there. Kate placed the plastic-covered photo on the desk. So unless you want me to start using my outside voice in this lobby, I need you to call your supervisor right now. The guard looked at the photograph. His face lost color. Vincent watched Kate with a strange stillness, as if each word out of her mouth added another piece to a puzzle he had not expected to enjoy solving. The supervisor arrived in 3 minutes. The nurse manager arrived in 5. By then, Kate had already signed herself in and was halfway to the elevator because nobody in that hospital had ever successfully stopped her from reaching Noah, and tonight was not going to be their inspirational first attempt. When the elevator doors opened on the pediatric floor, Kate smelled antiseptic, warm plastic, and the weak coffee from the nurse's station. Home, in the saddest way. She moved faster. Her throat tightened before she reached the room. Noah was asleep. Actually asleep. Alive. His lashes rested against pale cheeks. His curls were flattened on one side from the pillow. One hand lay outside the blanket, the IV tape too large against his thin wrist. The monitor beside him blinked with steady green numbers. Kate gripped the doorframe so hard her fingers hurt. She did not cry. Not yet. Crying was for bathrooms, parked cars, and the tiny kitchen table at 3 in the morning after bills were paid in the wrong order. Vincent stopped outside the room. He did not enter. Kate noticed that even through the rush of relief and terror, he stayed in the hallway as if the doorway mattered. As if this room belonged to Noah and Kate, and danger did not get to cross the threshold just because it wore a beautiful suit. Marcus, less sentimental and more practical, was already scanning the hallway. A nurse named Denise hurried toward Kate, her face pinched with worry. Kate, I am so sorry. Security told us. We had no idea. Kate kept her voice low. Who came in? Denise swallowed. We're checking the logs. That is hospital language for you don't know. We had a shift change. There was a transport tech, maybe. Someone with a badge. I thought he was from imaging. Noah was scheduled for imaging? No. Kate closed her eyes for 1 second. Vincent's voice came from behind her, quiet, but colder than the hallway air. Description. Denise looked at him and went still. Kate opened her eyes. Denise, this is Vincent. He is helping me find the records. Denise looked at Vincent's suit, his face, Marcus behind him, then back at Kate. Is he legal help? Kate almost laughed. It came out wrong. In spirit. Vincent said nothing. Denise wisely chose not to ask more. He wore blue scrubs, she said. Cap low, mask, average height. I didn't see his face clearly. He had a hospital badge clipped to his pocket. Name? Marcus asked. Mark, maybe? Or Martin? I only saw the first few letters when he turned. Kate's heart gave a strange little knock. Marcus noticed before Vincent did. You know someone named Mark. Kate looked down at Noah. Lots of people are named Mark. Vincent's attention sharpened. Kate. She hated the way he said her name. Not soft, not hard, just precise enough that lying felt childish. She stepped back from the doorway, careful not to wake Noah. Mark Chen used to work at my firm, legal assistant before me, smart, quiet, always acted like the printer personally offended him. He left last year after some issue with confidential client files, but nobody would talk about it because the partners love sweeping scandals under expensive rugs. Marcus went completely still. Kate looked at him. No. Marcus's face had changed. Not dramatically, but something behind his eyes had locked down. Vincent looked at him. Marcus. Marcus's jaw tightened. My younger brother is named Mark. Kate stared at him. Of course he is. Fantastic. Wonderful, because tonight needed a family twist. Marcus did not smile. I have not spoken to him in 8 months. Why? He made choices. Vincent's voice was quiet. That is not an answer. Marcus looked toward Noah's room, then away. He gambled, borrowed money, got desperate. I paid twice. The third time he disappeared. Kate felt the floor shift under the story. Not because she trusted Marcus. She didn't. She had known him for less than an hour, and so far his main personality trait was standing where normal people might place furniture. But she understood desperate family. She understood paying once, twice, forever, because love and fear kept using the same door. Dimitri, Vincent asked. Marcus's silence answered. Kate pressed a hand against her stomach. So Dimitri had your brother working at my law firm before I ever started digging. Maybe, Marcus said. No, not maybe. Kate's voice sharpened, still low enough not to wake Noah. My sister's old records connect to fake charities and custody cases. My firm handles family law. Mark worked there. He had access. Dimitri uses custody cases. That is not maybe. That is a nasty little scrapbook with all the pages glued together. Vincent looked at her, and even now, even with Noah sleeping 10 feet away and a threat wrapped around them, Kate saw that flicker again. The recognition, the respect. She was not sure what to do with it, so she ignored it aggressively. The nurse manager arrived with a tablet and hospital security beside her. Vincent stepped back into shadow. Marcus did not. Kate did the talking because this was her world now, not his. She asked for badge logs. She asked for camera footage. She asked for a list of every employee, contractor, vendor, transport worker, technician, temporary staffer, and mysterious ghost in scrubs who had accessed the floor that evening. When the security supervisor began explaining privacy policy, Kate smiled in a way that made even Marcus look mildly impressed. I work in legal filings for a living, she said sweetly. Please do not flirt with me using policy unless you brought the whole statute. The man stopped talking. Vincent looked away, but not before Kate saw his mouth twitch. 20 minutes later, they had a grainy security image from the hallway. Blue scrubs, cap, mask, badge turned partly backward. The man's face was unclear. But Marcus looked at the image once and went silent in a way Kate did not like. "It's him," she said. Marcus did not answer. Vincent did. "Yes." Kate stepped into Noah's room before her legs could decide to stop working. She sat in the chair beside his bed and took his hand carefully around the IV tape. His fingers curled faintly around hers. His eyes opened halfway. "Aunt Kate." She swallowed the fear down so hard it hurt. "Hey, Bug. You smell like rain. I was outside. At night? Seattle does this thing where it continues existing after sunset." He blinked slowly. "Are you being weird because I'm sick? I am being weird because I am naturally gifted." His mouth curved a little. That small smile nearly broke her. Noah's eyes moved toward the hallway. Vincent stood beyond the glass wall with his back partly turned, speaking to Marcus. "Who's that?" Kate followed his gaze. "That is, someone helping us. He looks like a vampire principal." Kate pressed her lips together. "That is very accurate. Is he mean?" Kate looked at Vincent again. He must have felt her gaze because he turned. His eyes moved from Kate to Noah, and whatever lived in his face softened so quickly she might have missed it if she had not already started watching him too carefully. "No," Kate said. "I don't think he's mean." Noah studied him with the severe judgment of a child who had met too many doctors. "Does he have snacks?" Kate laughed. It came out shaky but real. "That is the first important question anyone has asked tonight." Vincent entered only after Kate nodded. He stopped near the foot of the bed, keeping space between himself and the machines. He looked too dark for the room, too expensive, too impossible, like a storm had put on a visitor badge. "Noah," Kate said, "this is Mr. Moretti." Noah squinted. "Are you rich?" Vincent blinked once. Kate covered her mouth. "I am comfortable," Vincent said. "That means rich." "It usually does," Kate muttered. Noah looked at Vincent's suit. "Do you own a building?" "Yes." "More than one?" "Yes." "Do any have a pool?" "No." Noah frowned. "Then what's the point?" For the first time, Kate heard Vincent Moretti almost laugh. Not fully, just one quiet breath. But it changed his whole face for half a second, and she had the stupid thought that he should do it more often. "I will consider that," Vincent said. Noah nodded, apparently satisfied that he had improved the man's life. Then his eyes grew heavy again. "Aunt Kate?" "I'm here. Are we in trouble?" Kate's chest tightened. She could lie to adults. She could lie to hospital billing. She could lie to herself while making instant coffee in the dark. But Noah had already learned too young that trouble had many shapes. "Someone tried to scare us," she said softly. "But I'm handling it." Noah's eyes shifted to Vincent. "Is he helping handle it?" Kate hesitated. Vincent did not. "Yes," he said, "if your aunt allows it." Noah looked at Kate. "You should allow snacks too. I see your priorities remain trash. Doctor says calories matter." That is not what she meant, and you know it. Noah smiled faintly, then drifted back to sleep with his hand still in hers. Kate stayed in the chair until his breathing evened out again. Vincent returned to the hallway without a word. She watched through the glass as he spoke quietly with Marcus. Marcus looked older now, not weaker, just struck in a place armor did not cover. After a while, Kate stepped out. "Well?" she asked. Vincent's expression had returned to control. "Your apartment is not safe." "No." "The hospital is compromised." "Also no." "You and Noah will move tonight." Kate folded her arms. "There it is." Vincent's eyes narrowed slightly. "There what is?" "The part where helping becomes ordering. I told you I do not like men deciding where I stand." Someone came into his room. I was present for the horrifying scrapbook portion, thank you. Dimitri has your name, your workplace, your nephew's room, and likely your apartment. And your solution is to scoop us up and deposit us into the nearest marble bunker. My solution is a secured house with medical access, controlled entry, and staff I trust. "Congratulations! You made marble bunker sound boring," Marcus said. "It is not marble." Kate looked at him. I am sorry your brother is apparently a villain intern, Marcus, but this is not the moment. He accepted that with a small nod, which somehow made her feel a little bad. Vincent stepped closer, still not crowding her. Kate, I am not asking you to enjoy this. I am asking you to survive it. Something about the sentence was too quiet, too bare. Kate's anger lost one layer. She looked through the glass at Noah, at the machines, at his small hand outside the blanket. She thought of her apartment with the sticky kitchen drawer, the couch where Noah liked to build Lego cities, the mug Leah had left years ago and Kate had never thrown away. She thought of a man in blue scrubs standing over Noah with a camera. Her voice dropped. Can he be moved safely? I spoke with the attending, Marcus said. Not discharged. Transferred after morning evaluation, if stable. We can secure the floor tonight. We can secure a private medical room tomorrow. Kate looked at him. You already arranged that? Prepared, Vincent said. Not arranged. She stared at him. He added, because you had not agreed. Oh. That was more dangerous than ordering, somehow. A powerful man who could act without permission but waited for it, made Kate's defenses look around nervously for a new formation. She rubbed her forehead. I hate that you're learning. I am observant. You are annoying. So are you. Mine is charming. Debatable. Despite herself, Kate almost smiled. It was small and exhausted, but it was there, and Vincent saw it. Of course he did. The next hours passed in a strange blur of quiet movement. Vincent's men did not storm the hospital. They appeared like shadows that knew where to stand. One near the elevator. One at the stairwell. One outside the pediatric floor entrance wearing a visitor sticker and the expression of a bored uncle. Hospital security seemed both offended and relieved. Kate stayed with Noah while Marcus gathered logs. Denise changed IV tubing, and Vincent made phone calls in a low voice by the window. At 3 in the morning, Kate finally sat in the family waiting room with a paper cup of coffee that tasted like burnt regret. Vincent entered carrying a paper bag. She looked at it suspiciously. If that is shoes, I will throw you out a window. It is a sandwich. What kind? Turkey. Crime turkey? Hospital cafeteria turkey. That is worse. He sat across from her and placed the bag on the table. Eat. She opened her mouth. He lifted one hand. Please. That shut her up, which was rude and probably strategic. She took the sandwich. Her hands were shaking again, and she hated that he saw. She hated even more that he pretended not to. She ate half in silence before realizing she was starving. Vincent watched the dark window instead of her, giving her the odd mercy of not being observed while she needed something. Why children? She asked after a while. His eyes moved back to her. What? You said you do not lie well when children are involved. Most men like you have rules about loyalty or territory or not wearing brown shoes with black suits. Why children? The corner of his mouth shifted faintly. Brown shoes offend you? I contain multitudes. He looked down at his hands. For a moment, he seemed far away from the hospital, from the rain, from her. My mother ran a shelter before my father destroyed every good thing near him. Women came with children. Some stayed days, some weeks. The children always knew more than adults wanted them to. They learned footsteps. Door sounds. Which voices meant hiding? Which silences meant worse? Kate's throat tightened. Vincent continued, voice controlled. A child should not need survival instincts before they learn multiplication. Kate looked away first. That was almost human. It happens rarely. Terrible. Now I have to adjust my opinion. I apologize for the inconvenience. She huffed, and the sound was dangerously close to fondness. Then Marcus appeared in the doorway holding a tablet. We found the badge. Vincent stood immediately. Kate rose too. Marcus looked at her, then at Vincent. It was issued to a temporary transport contractor. Fake name. But the badge was created using admin access from a law firm network. Kate's blood cooled. My firm? Marcus nodded. 3 weeks ago. That's before I started asking questions at the hospital. Yes. Vincent's eyes darkened. So Dimitri was watching her before tonight. Kate gripped the back of the chair. The waiting room seemed suddenly too bright, too small, too full of air she could not use. Marcus swiped the tablet. There's more. The fake contractor badge accessed 3 rooms tonight. Kate whispered. 3? Noah's room, Marcus said. The records archive, and the pediatric oncology family office. Kate frowned. Why the family office? Marcus looked at Vincent. Vincent's face had turned frighteningly still. Because that is where social workers keep emergency guardianship notes. Kate felt cold all the way through. Guardianship? Marcus handed her the tablet. On the screen was a file request from an unknown user. Noah Reynolds, Guardian Fitness Review. Emergency Custody Vulnerability Assessment. The words moved in front of Kate's eyes, neat and digital and monstrous. Vincent's voice came from somewhere close. Dimitri is not just threatening Noah's treatment. Kate stared at the screen. He is preparing to question your right to keep him. For a second, Kate could not speak. Then something inside her, something older than fear and sharper than exhaustion, stood up. No, she said. Vincent watched her carefully. Kate looked at the tablet again, then at Marcus, then at Vincent. Her voice was low now, not loud, not shaking, not funny. No one takes my nephew. Vincent's eyes held hers, and in them she saw the same promise she felt burning through her own blood. No, he said, they do not. By sunrise, Kate had agreed to the secure house, though she refused to call it that. She called it the temporary anxiety castle until Vincent gave up correcting her. Noah remained asleep through most of the transfer discussion, waking only long enough to ask if the anxiety castle had pancakes. Vincent said yes before Kate could say she did not know. Noah gave him a sleepy thumbs up and decided the vampire principal could stay. The house stood beyond the city in a quiet neighborhood with old trees, high gates, and a view of the water turned silver under morning fog. It was not Vincent's main mansion, which Kate appreciated because she was not emotionally prepared for chandeliers before coffee. Still, the place had stone walls, iron security, 3 kitchens, and a living room so tastefully cold it looked like no one had ever sneezed there. Kate stood in the entryway with her purse over one shoulder and Noah's overnight bag in her hand. "Oh no," she said. Vincent looked at her. "What now? This house has never been bullied by a throw pillow." Marcus, carrying 2 medical bags, paused behind them. Kate turned slowly, taking in the grey sofa, the perfect glass table, the empty shelves, the art that looked expensive and emotionally unavailable. This place is where comfort goes to network. Vincent removed his coat. It is secure. It is beige. Security was the priority. Clearly, Joy was not consulted. Noah, pale but awake in the wheelchair beside her, looked around. "It needs snacks." Kate pointed at him. "See? Leadership." Vincent's mouth moved. "There is a pantry." Kate narrowed her eyes. "Is it full of almonds and sparkling water?" Marcus said. "Mostly." "Of course it is." She looked down at Noah. "We are in rich people jail," Noah whispered. "With pancakes?" "With pancakes," Vincent said. Kate looked at him. "You are not allowed to win him with breakfast." "I already did," Noah said. "Betrayal," Kate whispered. For a little while, the fear eased. Not vanished. It had moved into the walls with them. But it eased. Noah was settled into a downstairs room that had been quickly converted with medical equipment, warm blankets, and a nurse who did not look frightened of Vincent, which Kate respected immediately. Marcus took over the security office. Vincent showed Kate the exits, the safe room, the cameras, and the panic buttons. By the 3rd panic button, Kate stopped walking. He turned. "What? How many ways does this house have to tell you something awful is happening? Enough. That is not an amount. That is a trauma response. It is a system. It is a system. Anxiety disorder with doors. Vincent looked at her for a long moment. Do you want fewer precautions? Kate's answer came too quickly. No. The honesty sat between them. Her voice softened, against her will. I want them not to be necessary. So do I. She believed him. That was unfortunate. Later, after Noah ate 2 pancakes and declared the anxiety castle acceptable under protest, Kate sat at the long kitchen island with her laptop, her folder, and Vincent's people bringing her documents one by one. Shell companies, charity filings, custody case donations, storage invoices, old employee rosters. Leah's name appeared once, then vanished. Northline Civic Services appeared twice. Holloway Outreach appeared under 3 slightly different addresses. Dimitri's name appeared nowhere, which made him feel everywhere. Vincent stood across from Kate, sleeves rolled to his forearms, reading a file in silence. The sight irritated her, because men should not be allowed to look that good while investigating threats to children. It created confusing workplace conditions. Marcus entered with a stack of printed records. His expression was tight. Kate looked up. Tell me your face has good news. My face rarely has news. Your face just announced a funeral. Vincent glanced at the papers. What is it? Marcus set them down. Mark accessed Reynolds' family files while he worked at Kate's firm. Not just Leah, Kate too. Employment records, old address history, guardianship petition, sister's disappearance notes. Kate's hands went still on the keyboard. The kitchen seemed to pull away from her. Vincent said her name, but she barely heard him. Kate picked up the top page. There it was, her life in copies, her signature. Her emergency petition for guardianship after Leah vanished. Notes from interviews, the court's temporary order, a line from an old affidavit where Kate had admitted she was overwhelmed but stable, frightened but capable, willing to do whatever Noah needed. Someone had circled the word overwhelmed in red. Below it, another note had been added in handwriting she did not know. Potential pressure point. Kate felt something colder than fear settle in her chest. Vincent reached for the paper, then stopped before touching it, waiting again, asking again. She hated how much that mattered. She handed it to him. He read the note. His face changed into something so controlled it frightened even Marcus. Kate's voice came out quiet. They are not looking for records anymore. Vincent looked at her. She swallowed. They are building a story. Sick child. Overweight single aunt. Missing mother. Stress. Hospital pressure. Maybe unstable. Maybe unfit. Maybe Noah should be placed somewhere safer while everything gets reviewed. No one spoke. Kate laughed once, but there was no humor in it. That is how you steal a child politely. You don't break into the room and carry him out. You make a judge think you're saving him. Vincent's hand closed around the paper. Kate stood. The chair scraped loudly behind her. I need my firm's case archive. Marcus frowned. That is not safe. No, Marcus. Nothing is safe. That has been established. The archive has Mark's old access logs. If he pulled my files, he may have pulled others. Custody cases, charity-linked cases, families Dimitri pressured. We find the pattern, we expose the machine. Vincent watched her. You want to go to your office? I want to break into my own workplace on a Saturday before criminals finish weaponizing family court against me. Marcus said, that is a terrible plan. Kate looked at him. Thank you. Emotional support wall. I value your brand consistency. Vincent did not smile this time. Kate. She turned on him. Do not tell me to stay here. His eyes held hers. For 1 second, she thought he would do exactly that. Order. Protect. Decide. Become another man who took her fear and turned it into a locked room. Instead, Vincent picked up his coat. I was going to say, he said, wear shoes you can run in. Kate stared at him. The warmth that moved through her was soft and dangerous and terribly timed. Oh, she said. Vincent's gaze lowered briefly to her ruined flats. And before you accuse me, I did not buy them. Marcus opened a drawer and removed a plain black box. "I did." Kate looked at him. Marcus looked back, perfectly serious. "They are tactical flats." Kate blinked. "That is the saddest phrase I have ever found attractive." Vincent turned toward the door, but not before Kate saw his smile. Outside, the morning fog pressed against the windows. Somewhere across the city, Dmitry Vulov was tightening a net made of paperwork, fear, and old family wounds. Somewhere, Mark Chen was carrying secrets that belonged to Kate, Marcus, and maybe Leah too. And upstairs, Noah was laughing softly at something the nurse had said, alive and warm and unaware of how many dangerous people had begun moving because of him. Kate picked up the black box, opened it, and found the ugliest comfortable shoes she had ever seen. She put them on. Then she looked at Vincent Moretti and lifted her chin. "Fine," she said. "Let's go commit legal research with consequences." Vincent opened the door for her, and this time Kate walked through it on purpose. The law firm smelled like lemon cleaner, old coffee, and the kind of secrets people paid hourly rates to make sound respectable. Kate had unlocked the side entrance with a key she was not technically supposed to use on weekends, though technically had stopped being a useful word somewhere between the hospital photograph and the tactical flats. Vincent followed her inside without touching anything. Marcus came behind them, silent as guilt, his eyes moving over the empty reception desk, the family portraits on the wall, the closed conference rooms where people had cried over custody schedules and retirement accounts, and children who learned too early that love could come with paperwork. Kate paused near her desk. Everything looked normal. Her cheap desk plant leaned toward the window like it had given up on management. Her mug sat beside the keyboard, still stained with yesterday's coffee. A sticky note reminded her to call Mrs. Delgado about mediation forms. Another note said, Noah liked the red juice better than the orange one, because Kate had written it at work after a hospital call and never thrown it away. Ordinary things, safe things, the kind of things that should not have been part of a war. Vincent looked at the sticky note but said nothing. Kate appreciated that more than she wanted to. "Archive room is downstairs," she said. "The partners keep physical backups because Mr. Weller doesn't trust clouds. He thinks Dropbox is a young person trying to rob him." Marcus moved toward the hallway. "Cameras? Front lobby, parking lot, back stairs. Archive room has a keypad and a camera that has not worked since March, unless the maintenance guy lied to avoid talking to us." Vincent glanced at her. "Does everyone tell you things? People underestimate how much they say near fat women with snacks and office keys." His eyes held hers for half a second. "Useful mistake. Yes," she said quietly. "It is." They went down the back stairs, the building creaking around them. Outside, morning was still gray and damp, the city not fully awake. Inside, the law firm felt like a stage after the actors had left, every room holding the shape of yesterday's arguments. Kate keyed in the archive code with her shoulder tense. The lock clicked open. The room beyond was narrow and windowless, lined with metal shelves and banker boxes labeled by year, client number, and case type. It smelled like paper, dust, and stale air. Kate breathed it in and felt steadier. This was not a warehouse. This was not a hospital hallway. This was her territory. Men like Dmitry hid behind paperwork because they thought paperwork was dull. Kate had built an entire life on the fact that dull things told the truth when dramatic people got tired. She went straight to the back shelf. Custody emergency filings from last year. Mark handled intake support for several of them before he left. If Dmitry was using family court pressure, the pattern should be here. Marcus stood near the doorway, like he expected his brother to step out from behind a box. Maybe some part of him did. Vincent lifted one box down for Kate without being asked, set it on the table, then stepped back. He was learning where help ended and takeover began. It made him more dangerous in a different way. Kate opened the first box and began reading. For nearly an hour, There was only paper. Paper and rain tapping somewhere above them. Paper and Marcus's phone buzzing in short bursts. Paper and Vincent turning pages with careful hands. Kate built the pattern slowly, the way she always did. Same charity names, same emergency grants. Same custody evaluators appearing in cases that had nothing else in common. Same private transport service, same notary, same shell address in Portland. Same judge's clerk copied by mistake on 2 documents because criminals were often clever but rarely patient. Then she found Leah. Not her full name at first, just L. Reynolds on a witness intake sheet attached to a sealed custody case. Kate stared at it until the letters blurred. Vincent noticed immediately. "What is it?" Kate did not answer. She flipped the page, then another. The file was old, older than the label on the box. It should not have been there. Someone had hidden it inside a different family's case, slipped between court orders and financial disclosures like a confession folded into someone else's mail. Leah Reynolds, administrative support contractor, Northline Civic Services. Kate sat down hard in the metal chair. Marcus stepped forward. Kate. She was helping them. The words felt wrong in her mouth. No, wait. She read faster. Her sister's signature appeared on 3 forms. Intake, transport authorization, confidential medical handling. Then, on the last page, a note in Leah's handwriting. Messy, familiar, hurried. If anything happens, look for Holloway, not Northline. Noah's father file is false. Medical history sealed under Vuloff legal protection. Do not trust Mark C. Kate. Went cold. Marcus closed his eyes. Noah's father file. Kate whispered. Vincent's voice was quiet. Did your sister ever name his father? No. She said he was nobody worth remembering. I thought she meant some useless boyfriend. I thought... Kate pressed a hand to her mouth. The archive room tilted around her. The doctors needed family history. Leah knew something. She hid it because of Dimitri. Marcus looked at the note again. She named Mark. Kate's head snapped up. You knew? No. His answer came out rough. No, Kate. I swear to you. Vincent watched him for one breath, then another. Whatever he saw must have satisfied him, because he turned back to Kate. We need the rest of the sealed file. Kate's eyes moved across the page. It says Holloway, not Northline. The original records were transferred to Holloway Outreach's medical archive. That means Dimitri has them, or had them. Marcus's phone buzzed again. He looked down, and his expression changed. Vincent saw it. What? Marcus turned the screen toward him. A message from an unknown number. Tell Reynolds to stop. Last warning. The boy looks peaceful when he sleeps. Kate stood so fast the chair hit the shelf behind her. Vincent reached for his phone. House. Marcus was already calling. His voice turned sharp and professional. Lock down the house. No one in or out. Check Noah's room. Now. The next 10 seconds lasted too long. Kate could hear her own breathing. She could hear rain. She could hear Vincent's call connect, and a woman's voice answer from the safe house. Then a pause. Then movement. Then the nurse saying Noah was asleep, secure. Guards in place, no breach. Kate put one hand on the table and bent forward. Vincent did not touch her, but he came closer, close enough that she could feel the warmth of him beside her. Marcus stared at the message. Mark is nearby. Kate looked up. How do you know? He would not send that unless he was watching the move we just made. Vincent's eyes went to the ceiling, then the door. He followed us. A sound came from upstairs. Not loud, just a thud. All 3 of them went still. Kate whispered, Please tell me old law firms make charming, haunted noises. Marcus drew his weapon. Not that, Kate whispered. I specifically requested not that. Vincent moved in front of her, and this time Kate grabbed his sleeve before he could step farther. He looked down at her hand. She looked up at him. Do not put me behind you and forget I exist. His jaw tightened. The old instinct was there. She saw it. The urge to place her somewhere safe, to take the danger into his own hands, to turn protection into a locked door before either of them noticed. But then his eyes shifted. He remembered. He breathed once. "Stay beside Marcus," he said. "Not behind." Kate released his sleeve. "Acceptable," she whispered. They moved up the stairs slowly. The hallway above was empty. The reception desk sat untouched. The front door was still locked. Then came another sound from Mr. Weller's office, a drawer sliding shut. Marcus's face had lost every trace of uncertainty. Pain remained, but it had been forced into a corner by training. Vincent pushed the office door open. Mark Chen stood behind the senior partner's desk, with a flash drive in one hand and a gun in the other. He looked younger than Kate remembered. That was the cruel thing. At work, Mark had always seemed serious, tired, slightly annoyed by small talk. Now he looked like a boy who had made 10 bad choices and woken up inside the 11th. His suit jacket was damp from rain. His eyes were bloodshot. The gun shook almost imperceptibly in his grip. Marcus went very still. "Mark." Mark's face twisted. "Do not." Kate stood between Vincent and the doorway, close enough to see the panic under Mark's anger. Vincent's voice was calm. "Put the gun down." Mark laughed once. "You brought him?" "Of course you brought him." Kate looked at the flash drive. "Is that my firm's access log?" "It is none of your business. It became my business when someone photographed my nephew sleeping." Mark flinched. "There. Not enough. But there." Kate took one careful step forward. Vincent's hand shifted, but he did not stop her. "You took the picture," she said. Mark swallowed. "I didn't hurt him." "No. You just made sure I knew you could." His hand tightened around the gun. "I had orders." Kate's laugh was soft and ugly. Every coward in history has had orders. Marcus closed his eyes for half a second. Mark's face reddened. "You don't know anything. I know you worked here. I know you accessed my guardianship file before I ever knew Dimitri's name. I know my sister wrote not to trust you. I know you sold pieces of families to men who knew where to press until something broke. I didn't sell families. Then what would you call it?" Mark's mouth opened, but no answer came. Marcus's voice was rough. "You went to Vulov. I went to anyone who would stop the debt from burying me." Mark's eyes shone with anger now, or shame, or both. "You think everyone can stand straight because you do? You think everyone can just become a wall? I was drowning, Marcus. Dimitri offered a rope." "Ropes can hang people," Kate said. Mark looked at her. "You think I don't know that?" Vincent had not moved. That scared Kate more than if he had. His stillness had gathered into something precise. One wrong motion, one wrong breath, and the room would become a different kind of story. Kate kept her eyes on Mark. "Where are Noah's records?" Mark's face changed again, so he knew. Kate stepped forward once more. "Where?" Mark shook his head. "You need to stop asking. My nephew needs treatment. That file is not just medical." "What does that mean?" Mark's eyes flicked to Vincent, then to Marcus. "Dimitri kept files on everyone connected to his operation. Workers, witnesses, children, bloodlines, leverage, immigration status, addiction histories, custody vulnerabilities. Your sister found out Noah's father was tied to one of Dimitri's dead partners. Not a boyfriend, not nobody. Someone whose family history mattered medically and politically. Leah tried to copy the records and run. Dimitri found out." Kate's vision narrowed. "Is Leah alive?" she asked. Mark looked away. The room seemed to stop breathing. "Mark," Marcus said, voice breaking in a place so small most people would miss it. "Answer her." "I don't know." Mark's voice was barely above a whisper. "I swear I don't know. She disappeared before I was pulled in. But Dimitri kept the medical archive because of the boy. Insurance. Leverage. I don't know all of it." "Where?" Kate asked again. Mark closed his eyes. Then his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, and his face went white. Vincent moved before Kate could read it, but Mark lifted the gun higher. "Don't." Marcus's weapon came up. Kate's breath caught. Vincent stopped. Mark turned the phone slowly so they could see. A live image of the safe house gate, then a second image. Noah's downstairs window from beyond the trees. Kate's heart stopped. Vincent's voice turned deadly. Marcus. Marcus was already calling. Perimeter breach on the waterside. Move Noah, now. Mark shook his head fast. He said if I didn't bring Kate, they'd take the boy. Kate stared at him. Bring me where? Kate. Warehouse south of Harbor Island. Dimitri wants the papers you found, the drive, and you. He thinks Vince won't move if you're in the middle. Vincent looked at Mark like he had already judged him. And you came here to trade her. I came to warn her. Mark's voice cracked. Then I got scared. Kate looked at this trembling man with a gun, this brother, this traitor, this frightened piece of Dimitri's machine, and hated that she could still see the human being inside the damage. It would have been easier if he were only a villain. Life rarely offered that courtesy. Give me the drive, she said. Mark stared at her. Give me the drive, Mark. Then put the gun down before your brother has to survive you twice. His face crumpled. For a terrible second, no one moved. Then Mark set the gun on the desk and pushed it away. Marcus crossed the room and took it. His hand was steady. His eyes were not. Mark held out the flash drive to Kate. I am sorry. Kate took it. Be useful. Sorry can come later. And that was how the trap became theirs. Vincent wanted to move Noah farther away. Kate agreed, but only after she spoke to him on the phone and heard his sleepy complaint that rich people houses had weird pillows. He was transferred through a service exit with the nurse, 2 guards, and enough misdirection to confuse a spy satellite. Marcus stayed behind long enough to put Mark in a secure room with 1 guard and a choice: help or vanish into the consequences. Mark chose help, which Kate did not forgive but did use. By late afternoon, Kate sat in the back of another black SUV with her laptop open, Vincent beside her, Marcus in front, and half of Dimitri's legal skeleton spread across her screen. The flash drive held access logs, hidden custody files, shell company transfers, and the missing path to Holloway's archive. Kate followed the money first. Money was never loyal. It went where it was told and left footprints like a toddler in flour. Holloway outreach led to medical storage. Medical storage led to a private records vendor. The vendor led to offshore payments. The payments led to Dimitri's local partners, men who liked to call themselves investors when no one asked what they invested in. Vincent listened as she explained it, his eyes fixed on her face. What? She asked finally. You think quickly under pressure. I was raised by overdue bills and a sister with bad taste in men. Pressure and I have a shared lease, Marcus said from the front. That almost makes sense. Thank you. Emotional support wall. Vincent's mouth curved. You are certain this is enough? Kate looked back at the screen. Enough to hurt him? Yes. Enough to end him? Not unless he exposes himself trying to stop us. Vincent's eyes darkened. Then we let him. The warehouse was not romantic. Kate felt this was rude. If a woman was going to risk her life beside an attractive crime lord, the least the universe could provide was atmosphere less damp and forklift adjacent. The building sat near the water, under a sky the color of bruised steel. Inside, old crates lined the walls. Men stood in groups, some Dimitri's, some Vincent's, some belonging to other organizations Kate did not want to understand too well. Criminal politics, she decided, looked a lot like court mediation, except everyone had better coats and worse hobbies. Dmitri Vulov stood near the center of the warehouse, pale-eyed and elegant, with a smile so thin it seemed cut into his face. He looked at Kate first, not Vincent. That told her plenty. So this is the woman, Dmitri said. Kate tightened her grip on the folder. I prefer Kate, but I understand villains love being vague. A few men shifted. Vincent stood beside her, not in front, beside. The difference steadied something deep in her bones. Dimitri's gaze moved over her body with deliberate cruelty. Kate had seen that look before. Men like him loved to measure women and call it judgment. Moretti risks territory for a loud paralegal with a sick child. Kate smiled pleasantly. Actually, I'm a legal assistant. If you're going to insult me in a warehouse, try to respect the clerical structure. One of Vincent's men coughed. Dimitri's smile sharpened. You think jokes make you brave? No. I think jokes make insecure men reveal where to kick. Vincent made a sound so quiet she almost missed it. Dimitri's eyes hardened. You are here because I allowed it. No, Kate said. I'm here because you got sloppy. She opened the folder. Vincent had warned her that rooms like this respected power first, proof second, and morality never unless forced. Kate understood. She had sat in enough courtrooms to know that truth needed presentation or it died looking messy. So she did not begin with Noah. She did not begin with Leah. She began with money. She spoke calmly. Holloway Outreach, Northline Civic Services, dead registered agents, medical storage vendors, custody pressure, emergency guardianship files, charity grants routed through shell contracts. Dimitri's men shifted as she named companies they had thought were invisible. Rival figures listened harder. Vincent stayed silent, letting her build the room brick by brick. Dimitri laughed when she mentioned the fake notary. Kate turned the page. That laugh is adorable, because this is the part where it gets embarrassing. She showed the duplicate filings, the signatures, the payment routes, the badge record used to enter Noah's hospital floor, the law firm access logs. She did not say every detail. She said enough. Enough for the room to understand that Dimitri's hidden machine had been found by a fat woman in ugly tactical flats who had not slept properly in 2 days and had absolutely lost patience with men who thought paperwork was a private language. Dimitri's face changed slowly. That was satisfying. Then he struck where she knew he would. You are emotional, he said. A frightened aunt desperate to keep custody of a child who may need better care than you can provide. You break into offices. You consort with criminals. You make accusations because you are terrified someone will notice what you are. Kate felt the blow land, not because she believed him, because he knew the shape of the wound, the court documents, the red circle around overwhelmed, the fear that loving Noah might not be enough in a world that liked clean backgrounds and thin bodies and women who did not talk back. Vincent moved slightly. Kate touched his wrist once. Not yet. He stopped. She looked at Dimitri and smiled. Softly this time. You know, she said, people have been calling me too much my entire life. Too loud, too big, too emotional, too much trouble. And every time, they thought naming me would shrink me. The warehouse had gone silent. Kate held up the flash drive. But you made one mistake, Dimitri. You assumed the woman everyone underestimated would underestimate herself too. Then she turned toward one of the older men near the crates, a gray-haired shipping boss Vincent had identified on the drive over. Your nephew's custody case went through Holloway's partner charity last spring. The sealed evaluation that almost cost your sister visitation was copied to Dimitri's server before the judge saw it. The man's face darkened. Kate turned to another. Your import license delay was not federal review. It was Dimitri holding your paperwork until you agreed to his Portland route. Then another. Your son's rehab admission. Same grant network. One by one, the room shifted. Dimitri had not just threatened Kate. He had touched everyone. Quietly. Legally. Politely. The kind of violence men excused because no one bled where cameras could see. Vincent finally spoke. Kate is not my weakness, he said. His voice did not rise. It did not need to. She is the reason you are standing in a room full of men who now know exactly how you plan to own them. Dimitri's eyes burned. You think this ends me? Kate looked at her phone. A message appeared from Marcus, who stood outside with Mark, 2 attorneys Kate trusted, and a federal contact Vincent had not been happy about using, but had used anyway, because Kate's plan required public consequences, not just private revenge. She lifted her eyes. No, The part where your records vendor turns state's witness probably helps. Dimitri went still. Vincent looked at her, and for 1 second, even he seemed surprised. Kate shrugged. I told you, paperwork has feelings when subpoenaed. Sirens sounded in the distance. Not close yet. Close enough. The warehouse erupted into motion. Dimitri shouted in Russian. Men reached for phones. Some moved toward exits and found Vincent's people already there. Others simply stepped away from Dimitri, which was more damning than any speech. Power had a smell, Kate realized. So did its absence. Dimitri lunged toward her. Vincent moved faster. He caught Dimitri by the front of his coat and slammed him against a crate hard enough to shake dust from the beams above. Guns came up around the room. Kate's heart kicked. Marcus appeared at the side entrance, weapon drawn. Dimitri smiled through blood at the corner of his mouth. There he is, the monster she wanted to tame. Vincent's hand tightened. Kate saw the moment, the old way opening its mouth, the easier ending. Violence dressed as justice. A monster defeating a monster, while everyone pretended there had been no other path. Kate stepped closer. Vince. Only that, not a plea, not an order, his name. Vincent did not look away from Dimitri at first. His breath moved once, twice. Then he released him. Dimitri staggered, shocked. Vincent stepped back to Kate's side. No, Vincent said quietly. She taught me better methods. Kate's throat tightened at the worst possible time. The federal agents entered through the far doors with local police behind them. There was shouting then. Orders. Men kneeling. Phones seized. Dimitri trying to look calm while the room he had built collapsed in public. Kate watched him taken away and felt no clean triumph. Only exhaustion. Only relief with sharp edges. Only the strange grief of knowing Leah had been trapped inside this machine before Kate ever understood its shape. Mark handed over the final location of the medical archive before they took him too. Marcus stood beside his brother for a long moment. Whatever passed between them was quiet and painful, and not Kate's to hear. Then Mark was gone, and Marcus stayed standing in the rain outside the warehouse as if loyalty could be rebuilt only by not moving. Vincent found Kate near the SUV. She held a sealed plastic records bag against her chest. Inside were Noah's files, family medical history, genetic notes, Leah's old emergency forms. Enough answers to send to the doctors. Not all the answers. Maybe never all. But enough for Noah to have a chance. Vincent stopped beside her. Are you hurt? Kate looked down at herself. Damp coat. Ugly shoes. Shaking hands. Whole body aching like fear had weight. No, she said. I am furious and hungry. Both survivable. Barely. He looked at the records. You did it. Kate shook her head. We did it. The word sat between them. We. Vincent heard it. She knew because his face changed before he could hide it. Weeks passed before Kate trusted quiet again. Noah's doctors used the records to adjust his treatment, and the first good news arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, while Kate was eating vending machine pretzels and arguing with Vincent by text about whether bulletproof glass counted as a home feature or a cry for help. Noah's numbers were improving. His risk was lower. The new plan was working. Kate cried in the hospital bathroom for 11 minutes, then washed her face, walked back into Noah's room, and let him pretend he had not noticed. Dimitri's operation did not vanish overnight. Men like him left stains, but his money froze. His partners scattered. His polite systems became evidence. Holloway Outreach collapsed under investigation. Families who had been pressured began receiving calls from real attorneys, not criminals wearing charity badges. Marcus testified where needed and said very little where not. Mark took a deal that would never be enough and was still more than Kate expected from him. Vincent changed too, though not in the way people like to write songs about. He did not become gentle. He did not stop being dangerous. His world did not turn soft because Kate walked into it with wet hair and paperwork, but he began asking before deciding. Not always perfectly. Sometimes he looked like the effort pained him. Sometimes Kate had to stare at him across a room until he remembered that protection was not a leash. Still, he remembered, when he wanted to add 2 guards to Noah's school transfer, he asked Kate first. When he thought her apartment was still unsafe, he did not simply move her belongings. He brought coffee, sat at her tiny kitchen table, and explained the risks while Noah built a Lego city around his phone. When Kate said the secure house felt less like a prison now but still needed curtains with actual personality, Vincent handed her a credit card and said, "Cause damage." That was how the beige living room got orange pillows, 3 mismatched blankets, and 1 ceramic frog Noah named Dimitri because it looked morally suspicious. Months later, the secure house no longer felt like it was holding its breath. It smelled like garlic, butter, and something slightly burned, because Vincent had insisted he could help in the kitchen, and Kate had learned that confidence was not the same as skill. Noah sat at the long table with color in his cheeks, showing Marcus a card trick that Marcus pretended not to understand, even though he absolutely did. Denise, the nurse who had become more family than staff, laughed near the stove. 2 of Vincent's guards argued quietly about whether the ceramic frog should be allowed on the dinner table. Kate said Dimitri the frog had earned his place through emotional growth. Vincent stood beside her at the counter, sleeves rolled up, holding a bowl of salad like it might betray him. Kate looked around the room and felt something soft open in her chest. The house that had once felt too cold, too perfect, too much like rich people jail, was loud now. Messy, warm. There were Noah's books on the stairs, Kate's legal pads on the kitchen island, Vincent's jacket thrown over a chair because Noah had hidden the coat closet key as part of a game no adult had agreed to play. There was danger still. Of course there was. Some doors would always need locks. Some windows would always be watched. Vincent Moretti would never be a simple man with a simple life. But Kate no longer felt placed inside that life. She had chosen where to stand. Vincent came up beside her. "You are quiet. Rare moment. Respect it. I am trying." She glanced at him. "You look worried. I am waiting for you to tell me what is wrong with the salad. It has no personality. Salad is not meant to have personality. That is where you and salad are both mistaken." His mouth curved. Noah called from the table, "Aunt Kate, can we keep living here?" The room softened around the question. Kate looked at Vincent. He did not answer for her. He did not even look like he wanted to, though she knew he did. He simply waited. Kate walked to Noah and brushed a curl from his forehead. "You like it here?" Noah shrugged, pretending to be casual and failing. "The pancakes are good. Marcus is weird but useful. Vince lets me use the big TV if I say, 'educational' before movies. And you laugh more." Kate's throat tightened. Vincent looked away, giving her privacy in a room full of people. She kissed Noah's hair. "Then maybe we stay." Noah grinned. "With the frog?" "With the frog." "Can Vince stay too?" Kate looked over her shoulder. Vincent stood very still. For a feared man, he looked suddenly defenseless. Kate should have teased him. She would later. It was important to maintain balance in nature, but not yet. She walked back to him slowly. The room did not go silent, exactly, but it softened. Marcus stopped pretending not to watch. Noah definitely watched. The guards became fascinated by their plates. Kate stopped in front of Vincent. "You know I don't need rescuing, right?" His voice was low. "Yes. And if you start acting like security protocols are romance again, I will make your life deeply inconvenient." "I know. And I still hate crime soup." It was tomato basil. It was emotionally suspicious. His smile warmed, barely but truly. Kate took his hand. The most feared man on the West Coast looked down at their joined fingers, like she had given him something more dangerous than power. "I don't need you to save me," she said softly. "But I like having you beside me." Vincent's hand closed gently around hers. "That is where I want to be." Kate believed him. Not because he was harmless. He was not. Not because the world was safe. It was not. But because when the fight became too big for one person, he had not taken it from her. He had stood beside her. He had listened. He had learned the shape of her trust and treated it like something that could not be bought, forced, or guarded into existence. Behind them, Noah groaned. "Are you guys going to kiss? Because I'm eating." Kate turned. "You have survived medical trauma, criminal threats, and rich people almonds. You can survive mild romance," Marcus said. "I may not." Vincent looked at him. "You are dismissed." "No," Kate said. "He's family now. Unfortunately." Marcus blinked once. "That is unnecessary." Noah grinned. "Emotional support wall." For one perfect second, Vincent laughed. Fully. The sound filled the kitchen, low and surprised, as if it had escaped from a locked room inside him and found the house warm enough to stay. Kate looked at him and thought of the night she had walked into the wrong private room, with rain in her hair and terror in her bones. She had been looking for a lawyer. She had found a criminal, then a partner, then a home where danger still stood outside the gates, but love had learned not to lock the doors from the inside. Later, after dinner, after Noah fell asleep on the couch with Dimitri, the frog tucked beside him as a prisoner of war, Kate stood by the window, watching rain silver the glass. Vincent came up behind her but did not touch her until she leaned back first. "You ruined my peace," he said. Kate smiled. "Your peace was beige. It was orderly. It was sad with better furniture." His arms came around her slowly, giving her every chance to move away. She did not. Outside, Seattle glittered under rain. Somewhere, there would always be men who thought power meant taking. Somewhere, there would always be paperwork hiding cruelty behind polite language. Somewhere, another locked room waited for someone bold enough to enter it by mistake. But tonight, Noah was safe. Kate was loved. Vincent Moretti, who had once made rooms silent just by entering them, stood in a noisy house full of mismatched pillows, burnt garlic, bad jokes, and people who no longer trembled when he spoke. Kate looked up at him. "You know, all of this happened because I walked into the wrong room." Vincent lowered his forehead to hers. "No." "No?" His voice softened. "You walked into the right one. I was the one who did not know it yet." Kate rolled her eyes, though her heart betrayed her completely. "That was almost romantic. I am improving. Slowly. I have a strict teacher. She sounds beautiful and legally terrifying. She is trouble in sensible shoes." Kate glanced down at the tactical flats by the door, now scuffed, rain-stained, and very much part of family history. Then she smiled. Months ago, she had been a woman everyone underestimated, trying to hold her life together with humor, stubbornness, and take-out coffee. She still was, in some ways. But now she was also the woman who had stood in a warehouse full of dangerous men and made the truth louder than fear. The woman who had found her sister's trail, saved her nephew's future, and taught a mafia boss that protection without choice was only another kind of cage. She had not been rescued because she was helpless. She had been backed up because the fight was too big for one person. And Vincent Moretti had not won her by taking over her life. He had earned his place in it by standing beside her when the room went quiet, when the danger came close, and when she asked him to trust her instead of locking the door. Kate turned in his arms as the rain kept falling outside. In the living room, Noah mumbled in his sleep. Marcus quietly moved a blanket over him. Someone in the kitchen cursed at the dishwasher. The ceramic frog stared from the coffee table with suspicious dignity. The house was not peaceful. It was better. It was home.